wheel spin. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hot Take. Today we're in a 2022 Honda Civic Type R. This is Topher's car, Chris, and I'm very excited to drive this today. I've never driven a new Honda Type R product. Some specs: this makes about 320 horsepower out of a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. This one specifically has a couple of mods. It has the Type S suspension module, and it has the rear resonator delete, which I believe mimics that of a Type S. Other than that, though, it is completely stock. These come pretty good out of the box. I drove it on the way here, and it was very lovely. But let's go ahead and listen to an exhaust clip and then hop on the road and see how she drives. So some initial impressions as we hop out into the road. My first impression was how good the shifter was. The shifter feels very clicky and direct. The gas pedal also has, it's a little light, but I mean by modern car standards it's pretty good. There's really good throttle response in this car. Downshifts are easy. Like butter, very nice. I also really like the exhaust note that this car has. It's getting a little bit wet. I know, getting off in the turn. Not very good practice. We weren't going too hard. There is some traffic out today, so we're just going to try to get whatever we can. Oh, that turning response is good. One thing I already appreciate about this car is how little rev hang there is. It is such a breath of fresh air driving so many cars that just have the worst rev hang in the world to hop into this and have virtually none. So I'm already kind of fanboying over this car. I really like it. Shifter's good. The steering feels good too. It is a little numb, such as the case with some modern cars, but it gives you a little bit of feedback. And I really like the way this car rides. It's firm, but it's not too stiff, and it's a really good pairing. When you're going over various bumps, it doesn't jar you. Like butter. Handles phenomenally. I'm really loving that 4.3 shaft. This thing's great. Honda's always kind of done a really good job at making a car that just makes you feel really confident. This car instills a lot of confidence in the driver, and I'm sure I could even push it harder than I am now, which we probably won't because it's a little wet out today and I'm a little unfamiliar with the car. But the car gives me no reason to think that I couldn't go further than I'm already going. And it's amazing. People also complain about how Hondas sound, and that's usually a sore point for me too. But the way this exhaust is set up, I think it sounds really good. It's rumbly. It's got some of that kind of 4-cylinder buzziness, but it's like a good deep sound. It didn't go for that kind of high-pitched, like tuner car, kind of rice boxy sound. It's a very nice, deep, mature sound. That's really, I think, the best way to describe this car. It's very mature. spin. Woo, that was a lot. Very torquey. Definitely get a little bit of lift off oversteer on this car. It's got that big turbo power. If you're gonna floor it in this car, you gotta be ready. That is very punchy. This car just builds power all the way up to the top. There's no torque dip. This car just builds power all the way to the rev range, and it's fantastic. You feel the boost start to build kind of around 3,000. It just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. I'm in love with this thing. That's sweet. Oh, is he gonna give us a little sound clip? Maybe. But that's the best way to describe this car. What I said earlier, it's very mature. This is what every old school, like big turbo build Honda Civic, you know, making, I guess 300 horsepower isn't really that much anymore, but all of those old style Civics, old school builds, this is kind of what the polished version of that looks like. It's quieter, it's comfortable, still handles great, handles better than any old Civic ever did. But you still kind of have that nice, playful, fun Honda. I'm gonna be spun first and second, and I'm sure if I decided to grab third really quickly, it would have spun into third as well. It's just awesome. It's fun. Whoa, brakes are good. Pedals, got good modulation, it's bitey. Loving this car. You know, I'll admit, I kind of had, I don't want to say some bias, but when I first saw this car, I wasn't impressed. And, of course, my opinion when I first saw this car was the equivalent of the Internet Warrior. The difference being I didn't go on the internet and tell everybody about it because I'm able to acknowledge my own faults and I guess I'd call myself an automotive journalist at this point of some sort. But I looked at it and I do think it looks a lot better than the outgoing one. But I saw the specs and I was like, man, like I didn't get it. Now I'm driving it, I get it. And Chris took me on a ride in it, I think last April when he drove my car, my M3 for YouTube. And I had a smile on my face. Like, I get it now. It's that Honda thing. It's the it factor. There's nothing, on paper it does look good, but you look at the GR Corolla and you're like, oh, well, it's smaller, it's all-wheel drive, right? Like, all those things. And I need to drive one of those too, and I'm sure I'd love it. But this thing is no slouch. It's really good. And it's fun. Communicates really well. The steering is tight. Rear end is super connected to the front. It's just a well put together package. Downshifts are so easy. This car feels natural. It even spun in second. I was kind of getting partial throttle there. I was trying to not make it spin, but it did. That's so awesome. This car is so playful. I also love the sound it makes at 4,000. it kind of has that like old school Honda sound where you can kind of, right at $4,000, it kind of starts to, you hear that kind of induction sound as it starts to build up and you know you're approaching VTEC. Not making the same mistake again. It will not grip on the surface. Now we've all been waiting for some twisties. Okay, not much of a twisty. Still fun nevertheless. So we've now finished our test drive of the 2022 Honda Civic Type R. My hot take, it was phenomenal. Maybe it's not really a hot take, but it was so good. It was so much better than I expected it to be. Just like the old Hondas, it has that playfulness, that character that we love. Car like this, it spins first and second gear. It's got tons of torque and it just feels so good. The way this car drives just isn't really like anything else I've experienced. It has all the things we like about a modern car without a lot of the drawbacks, like the rev hang, the kind of rubbery shifter, the dead pedals. It has all of that. And I think it does a really good job at kind of blending those things together. I'm so happy I got to drive this. Really a great car. So with that, let's go ahead and give it a score. The score is as shown, a new hot take king to end our 2023 season. It beats out all our other hot hatch competition, but that was expected. This is much more car than any of those are. Should you buy it? Yes and no. The Honda Civic Type R doesn't excel at anything specific. It just checks all the boxes, which is becoming less and less common in today's automotive world as we compromise and give up more and more to technology. I wanted to score the should you buy it higher, but the base MSRP comes in at a staggering $45,000, which prices out a great portion of the younger audience that would enjoy this sort of car over a Golf R or 3 Series. However, if you can get past that, in 2023, Honda is still able to provide a fast, connected driving experience and a car that you can comfortably fit an adult in the back of while carrying a load of suitcases. Not something the 25-year-old fabled Integra Type R can say. If you're a Honda fan with 50 grand burning a hole in your pocket, before you go out and buy a driver's quality Acura Integra Type R, I highly suggest trying a new Honda Civic Type R. In 25 years, I think we will view this car the same way we look at the Acura Integra Type R in 2023.